everyone, Ginger Gargoyle here. Oh, let me see if maybe I'm zoomed in. Okay. Green background, you know what that means. That means we are still on the National Craft Month. Okay. Now, I have missed the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th because I have not been feeling good. My tummy has been just... The 5th, I had a headache like you wouldn't believe. The 6th, my headache turned into a belly, and yesterday it was just, oh my God, my stomach was trying to kill me. So, I decided not to do any recordings because I was so miserable. I'm still really bad, but now that I've remembered I have a pause button, I think I'll be better. It's not so achy today, it's just bothersome. Okay, so we're into increases. Now, you gotta learn to tame your yarn. I keep my yarn in the back, and when I do the cable, I keep the cable in the front. That way they don't get tangled. Okay. This pattern works this way, where the other... Do I have that handy? Ugh, of course not. Why would I have that handy? That might make sense. Okay. And while the other one worked across this way, I mean, you knew what you were working with. You were working with 30 stitches. All right. So you were going to be about 36, 30, 40 stitches tall, or rows tall. Okay. But you knew what you were starting with. You were starting with 30. This way is a great way of using up scraps. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what do you mean by scraps? Well, sometimes at the end of your ball, or at the end, okay, so here's a ball, okay, when you get down towards the end, or you get done with your project, you're going to have a little bit left over. What you can do is you save that up, okay? You keep your cottons with your cottons, you keep your wool with your wool. And if it's 100% wool, oh my gosh, we'll get in, well, no, we're not going to get into felting, but I'm telling you, felting is the way to go with that one. With this, you can work so that you're getting about half your triangle, okay, or your square, however big, of the one color. So say you want one that's this wide, okay, but you only got enough to make this wide. That's fine. You work up that far, you add on a new color, and then you work it up the rest of the way. You're going to end up with a multicolored thing that's using up those last little bits that you spent money on. Okay, because these days, things are getting so expensive. All right. So, let's see. We're going to knit in the first stitch. This is our increase day. Okay, first let me double check and make sure I didn't accidentally twist that stitch. No, I did not. Okay. If you twist a stitch, you're suddenly going to end up with an extra stitch. All right, and it's going to look just like a normal stitch, but it's not. So you have to make sure you don't twist your last stitch. All right, we're going to go through, and I hold this the way I do when I crochet, because I'm what they call a picker. You have pickers and you have throwers. Okay, now here's your simple increase. This is called a make one, or it can also be called a make one. You knit in your front, okay? Do not take your stitch off. And then you're going to knit again, but you're going to go through your back loop. All right, that's called a knit one front and back, and then you're going to slide off. So now out of 2 stitches you made 3. All right, and now I'm just going to knit across this row until I get to the last 2, or actually I'll come back when there's only 3 stitches left. Okay guys, I have switched your angle. You are now looking at me from the front, all right? So, you're actually looking down onto what I'm doing. So let me knit a stitch in the front. And I'm hoping that you guys can see what I'm doing, because you are actually in front of me. Okay. And then we're going to knit one in the front. First, we're going to get the stupid yarn to behave itself. Okay. I'm going to knit one in the front. And then we're going to knit one in the back. All right. And then we're going to take it off. And then we're going to knit the last stitch in the back loop. Now, the next row is a purl row. All right. You can see all these bumpies on the back. This is definitely a purl row, because this is the way I wanted it to be. If you wanted bumpies on both sides, you can just knit, okay? But do your increases every other row, okay? That will help keep it square. So now for the purl row, we're going to knit in the first stitch, and then we're going to purl in the next stitch. Here, let me get this out of the way for the next stitch so you can see how a purl is done. A purl is like knitting in the back loop, but you're in the front, and your yarn is in the front. All right? That causes this old stitch, okay, when it falls, the loop of the old stitch is on this side. All right, and that's because of where this new yarn is coming in at. All right, so go all the way down to the last two stitches, and then we'll be back. Okay, last two stitches. Ta-da! Again, we are going to... It drives me nuts sometimes. We're going to purl a stitch. All right, and then we're going to move the yarn back to the back between those two stitches. Okay, I don't know if I caught that on camera or not. Okay, we're going to move that yarn back to the back between those two stitches, and then we're going to knit in the back loop. All right, and that helps keep us from getting these big boogery ones on the outside. Okay, let's discuss another kind of make one. Let's see. This one is called a pickup stitch. Okay, in between your stitches, you're going to see these ladders, all right? You can reach in between one of these ladders, grab your yarn, and pull it up. You've just made a stitch, and then continue on in the pattern in which you are working. All right? You can do this on either side. All right? So let me pause you and I'll get down to the other end. Okay, I got you guys back in my lap so you're looking at it the way that you'll be looking at yours. Okay, so let's stitch one more. I gotta lift this up just a little. Sorry guys, I gotta lift that up just a little bit because otherwise I keep going out of frame. And you guys will never learn if I keep going out of frame. Alright, again, between these stitches you'll see some more of these ladders. You go under this ladder, grab your yarn and pull it up. Grab your yarn. Of course, it's not going to do it now. And pull it up, alright, and then just continue to knit on. telling you guys. Having you guys on my lap, this makes it really difficult. Well, it's difficult because no matter what, you guys just aren't at the right height. Alright, again, we're just going to stitch these last stitches like you normally would. And you can place your increase, except for the last stitch, remember? Back loop, okay? You can place those kinds of stitches anywhere you want, okay? Actually, any of the increases you can place anywhere you want. I tend to keep my increases towards the outside when I'm just making a regular increase. Okay. Then we are going to knit and then purl across until the last stitch, just like we normally would. Okay. Now, I've got to tell you that this way will tend to leave a little hole. Okay. The knit front and back leaves no hole. These ones tend to leave a little hole. All right. There's really nothing you can do to get around that. Okay, so just purl across to your last stitch and then knit. Now there are other ways of doing increases, but here's your assignment. Down below in the description box, I'm going to have the beginnings of a pattern. K means knit. P means purl. K, little f, little b, means knit front and back. All right, so check out the pattern. You're going to cast on 3 stitches to start. Seems really weird because it looks like it comes to a point. It's actually 3 stitches to start. All right, and the first row is the only row that isn't a repeat. All right, when you get to the length diagonally that you want for your washcloth, okay, when you get to that length, stop. All right, and then go on to day 6. Okay, that's it, guys. I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.